The moment you stop chasing, you start attracting. It's funny how life works, huh? The second you pour your heart out for someone, they act like they couldn't care less. But the moment you pull back, the moment you stop giving them unlimited access to you, suddenly they wake up. Suddenly they're curious. Suddenly they can't stop thinking about you. Folks, this isn't magic. This isn't luck. This is human nature. Once you understand it, you'll never waste your energy chasing anyone again. If you're tired of being ignored, overlooked, and treated like an afterthought, pay attention, because today we're breaking it all down. Once you see what's really happening, you'll never look at relationships the same way again. So hit that like button, subscribe, and stay with me, because I promise you, this is going to change the game. Hey, my friends, imagine this. You walk into a fancy store, and right in front of you, there's a pile of free stuff. No price tags, no effort required. Just grab as much as you want. You might take a few things, but you don't think twice about it. Now picture this. A single rare, limited edition item locked in a glass case. Only a handful exist in the world. People line up bidding crazy money, doing whatever it takes to get it. Why? Because people only value what they think they might lose. Now apply this to yourself. When you were always available, always responding, always proving your worth, you were the free item, easy to get, no effort needed. That's why they didn't appreciate you. But the moment you stopped, the moment you stepped back, pulled your energy away, and focused on yourself, you became the rare, exclusive item. Now they can't handle it. I know what you're thinking, but if they really cared, wouldn't they have valued me from the start? That, my friends, is the lie you've been fed your whole life. You've been told that if you just try harder, if you just give more, if you just prove yourself, then maybe they'll appreciate you. But tell me, has that ever actually worked? No. Because here's the hard truth. People don't respect what they don't have to earn. The more you chase, the less they care. The more you give, the more they take you for granted. The more they take you for granted, the more you prove yourself, the more they assume you're not worth much. That's just how the human mind works. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That means you don't win by convincing them to see your worth. You win by realizing your worth was never up for negotiation. Let me tell you something. Chasing someone is a form of self-betrayal. Every time you run after someone who barely puts in effort, you're telling yourself their approval is more important than your self-respect. But what happens when you flip the script? What happens when you stop chasing, stop explaining, stop proving? Everything changes. They start wondering where you went. They start checking in. They start panicking, because for the first time, they don't know if they still have access to you. And that, my friends, is when the power shifts. Oh, and don't think they don't feel it. They do. They hate the silence. They hate not knowing what's going on in your mind. They hate the fact that their usual games don't work on you anymore. But guess what? That's not your problem. That's their laws. Because here's what happens when you step into your power. You stop seeking approval. You stop over-explaining. You stop waiting for someone to see your value. And when you do that, that's when they start chasing you. So say it with me. I don't chase. I attract. Write it in the comments. Let it sink in. Show them. Show yourself. Show the world. And trust me, my friends, we're only getting started. Hit that like button, subscribe, and stay with me, because what's coming next is when they really start begging. Number 1, the chase destroys attraction. Why do they ignore you when you try too hard? We suffer more in imagination than in reality. The mind plays tricks on you, doesn't it? It makes you believe that if you just try a little harder, if you just show them how much you care, if you just give more, they'll finally see your worth. But let me ask you something, my friends. Has that ever worked? Think about it. The more you text first, the longer they take to respond. The more you plan things, the less excited they seem. The more you try to make them feel special, the less special you feel in return. Why? Because when something is too easy to get, it loses its value. Imagine walking into a store where they're giving away designer watches for free. No price tags, no exclusivity, just there for anyone to grab. At first, people take a few, but soon nobody cares. Why? Because if something is free, it must not be worth much. Now picture a different store, a luxury boutique where there's only one of that same watch locked in a glass case with a waiting list months long. People want it. People fight for it because people only chase what they feel they might lose. Now think about yourself. When you were always available, always initiating, always proving yourself, you were the free item. You gave them unlimited access to your time, your energy, your presence. And what happened? They took it for granted. They assumed you'd always be there. They stopped valuing you, and that hurts, doesn't it? That deep, gut-wrenching realization that no matter how much you gave, it was never enough. That all your efforts, all your love, all your patience meant nothing to them. But here's where you need to wake up, my friend. It wasn't because you weren't good enough. It was because you were too available. Let's get real. People don't respect what they don't have to earn. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." And yet here you are, giving all your power away, chasing someone who barely lifts a finger for you. Why? Because you've been conditioned to believe that love is something you need to fight for. If you just hold on a little longer, if you just prove you're different, if you just give them more, they'll finally appreciate you. But here's the brutal truth. You're not winning them over. You're making them lose respect for you. Because every time you chase, you send one clear message: I need you more than you need me. And that's the moment they lose interest, not because you're not worthy, not because you don't deserve love, but because certainty kills attraction. When people know they have you, when there's no challenge, no mystery, no feeling of having to earn you, it's over. And I know what's running through your mind right now. But if I stop chasing, won't I lose them? What if they move on? What if they never come back? That fear, that panic is the very thing keeping you stuck. You're scared of losing them. But my friends, they already lost you the moment they made you feel like an option. You just haven't realized it yet. And trust me, I know it's hard. I know that stepping back feels impossible because your mind will scream at you. It will beg you to text them, to check in, to do one last thing to show them you care. But what you don't realize is that every time you do that, you're killing their attraction even more. See, people want what feels rare, what feels uncertain, what feels valuable. And right now, you're giving them no reason to see you that way. Seneca once said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." And tell me, my friends, how much time have you wasted chasing someone who doesn't even look back? The truth is, Chasing doesn't just destroy attraction, it destroys your self-worth. Because the more you chase, the more you tell yourself, I need their validation. But you don't. You never did. You just needed to wake up to your own worth. And here's where everything changes. When you stop chasing, when you pull back, when you finally put yourself first, that's when they start noticing. They start wondering, wait, why aren't they texting? Did I lose them? Are they talking to someone else? Suddenly, they feel the shift. Suddenly, they're the ones checking in. Suddenly, you're no longer easy to get. And let me tell you that uncertainty, that's when their attraction kicks back in. Because here's the ultimate truth. You don't win by proving your worth. You win by making them realize they were never entitled to you in the first place. When you stop chasing, stop proving, stop waiting for them to notice you, that's when you finally step into your power. Because now you're the rare item behind the glass. Now you're the one they can't quite figure out. Now they're the ones questioning if they messed up. And by the time they finally realize what they lost, you won't even want them anymore. So say this with me, I am not an option. I am the prize. Write it in the comments. Let it sink in. Show them. Show yourself. Show the world. And my friends, we're only getting started. Because next, we're talking about the power shift when they start realizing they lost control over you. And trust me, that's when they really start losing their mind. Number 2, the power shift. When you become the one they can't have, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength, Marcus Aurelius. Just like that, my friends, the moment you stop chasing, the power shifts. Suddenly, you're no longer the one waiting, hoping, overthinking. Now they are. And let me tell you, they don't like it. Why? Because people hate uncertainty. The human mind craves control. It wants to know where things stand. It wants to feel secure, certain, comfortable. But when you pull back, when you remove yourself from the equation, you take that comfort away from them. Now they're left wondering, wait, why aren't they texting me? Did I lose them? Are they talking to someone else? And just like that, the roles reverse. Let's break this down with a little metaphor, shall we? Imagine a fire burning bright, powerful, consuming everything in its path. What fuels that fire? Oxygen. Every flicker, every flame, every single spark, it all depends on that constant supply of air. Now what happens when you cut off that oxygen? Oh wait, fire struggles. It flickers, it gasps for life. Eventually it burns out. That fire, that's their ego. That's their sense of control. Their belief that you would always be there. And that oxygen, that was you, your attention, your energy, your chasing. But now you've stopped feeding the flames. Now you've stopped feeding the flames. And let me tell you something. They feel it. At first, they don't want to admit it. They tell themselves you're just playing games, that you'll come back like you always do, that they still have a hold on you. But as time passes, as the silence grows, as they realize you're not reacting the way you used to, that's when the panic sets in. Because for the first time, they don't know where they stand with you. And that, my friends, is the single most uncomfortable feeling in the world. See, when you were chasing them, they had the luxury of security. They knew without a doubt that they could come back any time, and you'd still be there. They could text you days late, leave you on read, barely put in effort, and still you'd show up. But now you're the one they can't have. And people always want what they can't have. Let's go even deeper into this. Have you ever noticed how people obsess over the one person who doesn't seem interested in them? They can have 10 other people giving them attention, admiration, devotion, but their mind is stuck on the one who isn't chasing. Because here's the truth, scarcity creates value. The moment something feels rare, people start craving it. The moment something isn't easily available, they start fighting for it. And you're no longer easily available. That's why they suddenly start checking in. Hey, how have you been? Texts out of nowhere. Texts out of nowhere. That's why they start acting differently, because they need to know, do I still have them? But here's where most people mess up. The second they notice the other person pulling back, they panic. They think, oh, it's working. They're reaching out. Let me text back immediately. Let me engage. Let me show them I'm still here. And just like that, power lost. The second you hand them that security back, the second they realize they still have control, the second you prove you're still there waiting, everything resets. They stop feeling the fear. They stop feeling the loss. They stop caring again. That's why the true power shift only happens when you stay detached. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." And this is the ultimate test of that. Can you control your own mind enough to not react? Can you resist the urge to chase, to explain, to prove yourself? Can you sit with the discomfort of uncertainty, knowing that your silence is making them rethink everything? Because here's the final truth. They don't come back because they love you. They come back because they lost control over you. They come back because they lost control over you. And the longer you stay detached, unbothered in your own power, the more they feel that loss. So now, my friends, the question is, can you handle the shift? Because trust me, once you step into this power, once you become the one they can't have, you'll never go back to chasing again. So say it with me. I am rare. My attention is earned. Write it in the comments. Let it sink in. Show them. Show yourself. Show the world. And my friends, we're only getting started. Because next, we're diving into the real reason they start panicking when you pull back and why they only value you when they fear losing you. Hit that like button, subscribe, and stay with me because this is where they really start losing control. Fight losing control. Number 3, they only value what they fear losing. A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials. Have you ever noticed how people don't appreciate something until it's gone? Until it's gone. They take it for granted when it's right in front of them, assuming it will always be there, always available, always waiting. And then one day it's gone. And suddenly it's all they can think about. That, my friends, is human nature. People only value what they fear losing. Think about the things in life that people cherish the most. The rarest diamonds, the limited edition sneakers, the exclusive VIP access. People will do anything to get them. Why? Because they're scarce. Because not everyone can have them. Because the moment something is hard to get, it instantly becomes more desirable. But now, think about the things people take for granted. Free samples at the store. People grab them and forget about them. Unlimited refills at a restaurant. No one even thinks twice about wasting them. Why? Because they're always there. Because they don't fear losing them. And now ask yourself, which one have you been in their life? Were you the rare diamond, the one-of-a-kind prize that they had to cherish, protect, and work for? Or were you the free refill, always available, always giving, always proving yourself, no matter how little effort they put in? Be honest. Because here's the hard truth most people don't want to admit. You don't prove your worth by chasing. You prove your worth by being valuable and letting them chase you. Not because you're not worthy, not because you don't deserve love, but because they never had to fear losing you. People only appreciate what isn't guaranteed. The moment they feel pressure, the moment they sense that you might not always be there, that's when they start valuing you. Let's put it this way. Imagine two people. One is always available, always answering texts immediately, always rearranging their schedule to make time. The other is harder to reach. They have a life. They don't drop everything for someone. When they do respond, it's on their time, not out of desperation. Which one is more attractive? Which one do people want more? The answer is obvious. Because the second someone realizes they don't automatically have access to you, their entire mindset shifts. They start checking their phone more. They start wondering where you are and what you're doing. They start replaying the last conversation, questioning if they did something wrong. They start craving what they never appreciated before. And that, my friends, is the scarcity effect. The less available you are, the more valuable you become. Hard truth. Marcus Aurelius once said, "It is not death that a man should fear, but he should fear never beginning to live." And let me tell you something, you haven't been living. You've been waiting for them to wake up, waiting for them to appreciate you, waiting for them to finally see your worth. But here's what you don't realize. They will never see it as long as they believe you will always be there. Because when something is guaranteed, and that's why pulling back isn't a game, it's a necessity. You don't do it to manipulate them. You don't do it to make them jealous. You do it because your energy is valuable, and you will not waste it on someone who does not respect it. And I know this is where the fear kicks in. But if I stop reaching out, won't they forget about me? What if they never come back? What if they move on and find someone else? That fear, that is exactly why they never valued you in the first place, because they knew you feared losing them. And when someone knows you fear losing them, they feel zero pressure to appreciate you. But when you stop, when you truly step back, when you shift your energy away from them and back onto yourself, everything changes. Now they feel the pressure. Now they feel the fear. Now they feel what you felt all along, the weight of uncertainty. And my friends, nothing makes a person crave something more than uncertainty. That's why the most powerful thing you can do is step back. Because when you remove yourself from the equation, they finally realize, wait, maybe I don't have them like I thought I did. And once that thought enters their mind, that's when they start valuing you. But by then, you've already moved on to bigger things. So say this with me, I am not easily available. I am rare. I am the prize. Write it in the comments. Let it sink in. Show them. Show yourself. Show the world. And my friends, we're not done yet. Because next, we're talking about the psychological trick that happens when you walk away, and why they start chasing the moment they think they've lost you. Number 4, the reverse psychology of walking away. The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury. Marcus Aurelius. There's something almost magical that happens when you finally decide to walk away. At first, it feels unnatural. It feels like you're losing control. It feels like you're losing control. You start questioning yourself, wondering if you're making a mistake. But what you don't see, what they feel immediately, is the power shift. Because the second you pull back, they don't think you're playing a game. They feel like they're losing you. And let me tell you, that drives them insane. People assume that when they walk away, the other person just shrugs and moves on. But let me ask you something. How did you feel when they pulled back from you? Did you just accept it? Or did your mind start racing? Why aren't they texting? Did I do something wrong? Are they talking to someone else? See, uncertainty breeds obsession. The moment you remove yourself, you create a void in their mind that they now have to fill. And that void becomes all-consuming. Let's break this down with a little metaphor. Imagine you have a faucet in your kitchen. Every time you turn it on, water comes out. Simple, predictable, reliable. You don't think twice about it. But now imagine one day you go to turn it on and nothing. The water doesn't flow. It's just gone. Now suddenly, it's all you can think about. What happened? Did I forget to pay the bill? Is there a problem with the pipes? You start checking, testing, overanalyzing because something you assumed would always be there has disappeared. And that's exactly what happens when you stop chasing. At first, they don't react. They tell themselves, "You're just busy," or "You'll come back like you always do." But as the silence stretches longer, their certainty starts to crumble. Because here's the truth, my friends. People don't want what's handed to them. They want what they might lose. Think about it. When something is always available, people assume it has no real value. They don't have to work for it, so they don't worry about losing it. But when something becomes scarce, when it might disappear at any moment, that's when people start paying attention. It's why people suddenly appreciate a relationship after it ends. It's why exes come back after you move on. It's why the moment you stop caring, they start chasing. And I know right now your mind is fighting this, but what if they don't notice? What if they just move on? What if they don't care at all? Here's where most people mess up. They get impatient. They walk away for a day, maybe a week. And when they don't get an immediate reaction, they crack. They reach out. They explain themselves. They try to see if the other person still cares. And the second you do that, game over. Because now they know you were never really gone. Now they know your silence wasn't real detachment. It was a tactic, and that kills the power shift instantly. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." And this is the ultimate test of that power. Can you walk away without needing a reaction? Can you hold the silence long enough for them to feel it? Because here's what happens next. At first, they'll pretend not to care. They'll act like your absence doesn't bother them. But as the silence grows, their mind starts to play tricks on them. What if they're over me? What if someone else is giving them attention? What if I waited too long? And that's when the desperation kicks in. At first, it's subtle. A random check-in text, a comment on your post. "Hey, how have you been?" Out of nowhere. They're testing the waters. But when they see that you're truly detached, when they realize that you're no longer waiting around, that's when they start chasing, because suddenly they feel what you felt. That feeling of not being sure anymore, that feeling of wondering if they messed up, that feeling of losing something they didn't appreciate when they had it. And the best part, by the time they realize it, you won't even want them anymore. Something happens when you truly walk away. At first, you do it to get a reaction. You want them to notice. You want them to care. But as time passes, as you focus on yourself, as you build your own life, you stop wanting them at all. You see them for who they really are. You realize that their attention was never the prize, your peace was. And my friends, that's when you truly win. Win, because the real flex is not needing them back. So say this with me: I don't chase, I walk away. Write it in the comments, let it sink in. Show them, show yourself, show the world. And my friends, we're just getting started, because next we're talking about what happens when their ego takes a hit, when they realize they no longer have power over you. And trust me, that's when things really get interesting. Number 5, their ego takes a hit, and that's when they come running. You see, my friends, for the longest time, they believed they had you figured out. They thought they knew exactly how much you cared. That no matter what they did, no matter how little effort they put in, you'd still be there. And that gave them power, because their ego wasn't just built on feeling special. It was built on knowing that you wanted them more than they wanted you. They fed off it. They took comfort in it. It gave them a sense of control. But the moment you stop chasing, the moment you pull back, the moment you genuinely don't care anymore, everything changes. And that shatters them. Because now they don't know where they stand. At first, they try to act unbothered. They convince themselves, you'll be back. They tell themselves, oh, they're just playing hard to get. But as the silence stretches longer, as the days go by and they realize you're not reacting the way you used to, the panic sets in. They start questioning everything. Was I wrong about them? What if they never cared at all? Did I misjudge their worth? And just like that, they're in the same position you were in before. See, when you were the one chasing, you needed reassurance. You needed to know if they cared. You needed proof that you meant something to them. And now they're the ones needing it. Because nothing shakes a person more than realizing they miscalculated someone's value. Let's break it down with a little metaphor. Imagine a person walking through a marketplace. They see a vendor selling what looks like an ordinary stone, nothing special, nothing rare. Nothing special, nothing rare. The vendor is practically begging people to take it. So what do? They walk past it without a second thought. But now imagine that same person stumbles upon a museum where behind thick bulletproof glass sits the exact same stone. But here it's labeled a rare, priceless gem. There's security around it. People are staring in awe. Bidding wars are happening. Now they want it. Why? Because suddenly they realize its worth. And my friends, that's exactly what happens when you pull away from someone who took you for granted. They thought you were ordinary. They thought you were just another person willing to give them all your time, energy, and attention without them having to do anything. But the second you become unavailable, the second you stop proving your worth to them, they start seeing you differently. And that realization hurts, because now they have to ask themselves, did I throw away something valuable? And people, they can't handle that kind of regret. Marcus Aurelius once said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. And when you stop chasing, you take power over your own mind and strip them of the control they once had. That's why they start checking in. That's why they suddenly pop up with a random, hey, how have you been? Message. That's why they suddenly start liking your posts, watching your stories, finding excuses to reach out. But don't be fooled. They're not coming back because they had some deep realization about their love for you. No, my friends, they're coming back because their ego is taking a hit. They don't miss you. They miss knowing they had you. They miss the security. They miss the control. They miss feeling superior, but now they don't know where they stand. And that drives them insane. And here's where most people break. When they see their ex or the person they pulled away from suddenly paying attention again, suddenly acting interested, they fall for it. They reply too soon. They get excited. They think, oh my God, it's working. They finally care. And just like that, power lost. Because now they don't have to chase anymore. Now they don't have to wonder. Now they have the security back. And the second they feel secure again, they lose interest all over again. That's why the real power move isn't just walking away, it's staying away until they prove themselves, until they show real effort, until they give instead of just taking, until they earn access to you again. Because the ultimate truth is this: the moment they realize they lost you for real is the moment they start wanting you more than ever. But by then, you've already moved on. So say this with me: I am not an option. I am the prize. Write it in the comments. Let it sink in. Show them. Show yourself. Show the world. And my friends, we're not done yet. Because next we're talking about the most powerful tool you have, the one thing they fear the most: your silence. Number 6, your silence is louder than words. There's something about silence that makes people uncomfortable. It lingers. It creates questions, doubt, fear. Because suddenly the control they once had is gone. When you stop chasing, when you stop explaining yourself, proving yourself, reaching out first, you leave them with nothing to react to. No texts, no calls, no closure, just silence. And let me tell you something, my friends. That silence is louder than any words you could ever say. Because when someone ignores a message, what do we assume? Oh, they're busy. They must have forgotten to reply. Maybe they just don't care that much. But when someone who used to always be there suddenly goes quiet, now we start obsessing. Did I do something wrong? Why aren't they reaching out? Are they over me? Are they talking to someone else? See, when you were always available, they never had to wonder about you. You made it too easy. Cal! They knew no matter what, you'd answer. You'd explain yourself. You'd prove you still cared. And that gave them control. But now? Now they don't know. Now you're unpredictable. Now they're the ones stuck in their head, overanalyzing every little thing. And trust me, the unknown is far more terrifying than rejection. Because rejection is final, it's clear, it's an answer. But silence. Silence is a question mark that they can't figure out. Let's break it down with a little metaphor. Imagine you're watching a movie. The characters are talking. The story is moving along. Everything makes sense. You know what's happening. But suddenly the screen goes black. The sound cuts out. There's nothing, no explanation, no warning, just empty silence. Now what happens? Your mind goes crazy. Did the power go out? Is something wrong with the movie? What happens next? You start searching for answers because silence feels unnatural. It makes people uncomfortable. It forces them to fill in the blanks. And that, my friends, is exactly what happens when you go silent on someone who once took you for granted. At first, they pretend not to care. They act like they don't notice. But as time goes on, and they realize you're not reaching out, not checking in, not reacting to them anymore, they start to panic. And here's the kicker: they won't even know why. See, people don't process emotions logically. They don't sit there and think, oh, I miss them because I treated them poorly. No. Instead, their brain tricks them. It makes them feel uneasy, restless, anxious, It makes them start checking their phone more often, wondering why they haven't heard from you. It makes them start watching your stories, liking your posts, finding excuses to reach out. Because now they feel like they lost control, and nothing bruises the ego more than realizing you don't have power over someone anymore. Seneca was right. Silence is a source of great strength, but it's also a test. Because let's be honest, staying silent isn't easy. At first, you'll want to break it. You'll feel that urge to check in, to see if they noticed, to prove you're still important to them. But my friends, that is where most people fail. Because the second you break your silence, the second you show them you were just waiting for their attention, they win. The power shift is over. They know you're still there, still waiting, still hoping for their validation. And just like that, they stop caring again. That's why true power isn't just in walking away. It's in staying away. It's in being okay with not knowing what they're thinking. It's in being strong enough to let them wonder. It's in letting them feel the discomfort of losing access to you. Because that's when they start realizing what they had. And the best part, by the time they figure it out, you won't even want them anymore. So say this with me: my silence is my power. Write it in the comments. Let it sink in. Show them. Show yourself. Show the world. And my friends, we are not done yet, because next we're talking about the one thing that terrifies them the most. The idea that someone else might have your attention. Now, number 7. Why detachment is the ultimate attraction. Freedom is won by disregarding things beyond our control. Epictetus. Let's get real, my friends. The most attractive, magnetic, unforgettable person in any situation isn't the one begging for attention. It's not the one over-explaining, proving themselves, or seeking validation. It's the one who moves with confidence, with purpose, with peace. And that is rare because most people chase, they cling, they worry. They let their emotions be controlled by someone else's actions. But the ones who stand out, the ones people can't stop thinking about, are the ones who don't need anything from anyone. And let me tell you something. Nothing is more powerful than detachment. See, when you detach, when you stop making someone else the center of your world, when you start prioritizing yourself, everything changes. You walk differently. You speak differently. You carry yourself with a quiet power that people can't ignore. Because here's the truth. Neediness repels. Confidence attracts. Let's break it down. Imagine 2 people enter a room. One is seeking approval. They scan the room, trying to impress. Their energy screams, "Please like me. Please notice me." The other, completely at peace. They're not trying to prove anything. They're just existing in their own power. Who gets more attention? The one who doesn't need it. Because that's the paradox of attraction. The less you seek it, the more it comes to you. And I know what you're thinking. But if I stop caring, won't they think I don't like them? Won't they move on? Won't they forget about me? No. They'll wonder about you even more because now they don't know where they stand with you. Now, they don't feel secure in your attention. And that creates curiosity. Because here's a little psychological trick. People don't fall for the ones who chase them. They fall for the ones they can't quite figure out, the ones who seem just out of reach, the ones who aren't easily impressed. And that's why detachment is the ultimate attraction. The moment you stop needing their validation, their attention, their approval, you become the one they crave. Because now you're the rare one. So say it with me: I attract, I don't chase. Write it in the comments. Let it sink in. Show them. Show yourself. Show the world. And my friends, we're not done yet, because next we're talking about what happens when you fully detach, when you become truly untouchable. And let me tell you, that's when everything falls into place. If this hit home, hit that like button, subscribe, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. Here's the truth, my friends. The moment you stop chasing, everything shifts. You stop being an option. You stop being taken for granted. You become the one they can't ignore. But by the time they realize what they lost, you've already moved on. So say it one last time. I don't chase, I attract. Write it in the comments. Let it sink in. Show them. Show yourself. Show the world. And trust me, we're just getting started. Stay with me.